Ever since I started my sprinting journey, a big goal of mine was to drop under 11 seconds. Today I want to share with you guys several things I did that helped me achieve this goal. In order to develop your 100-meter dash, the training isn't just running 100 meters over and over until you run faster. You have to think of the 100 meters as different phases. These phases are the acceleration phase, the top speed phase, and the speed endurance/deceleration phase. Your week should be divided into different days in which you train in these specific phases of the race. The length of the different phases of the 100-meter dash depends on athlete to athlete, but here are some general guidelines for how long each phase is. The acceleration phase is 0 to 30 meters, the top speed phase is 30 to 60 meters, and the speed endurance phase is 60 to 100 meters. A pro sprinter's drive phase may last around 30 plus meters, but for more novice sprinters, it's much less, typically 10 to 15 meters. A mistake I made early in my sprinting career was not focusing on those shorter distances like 10 and 15 meters and just skipping to the higher acceleration distances. Taking your time to develop your first few meters goes a long way to set up yourself to run good times. Typically, acceleration training is between 10 to 30 meters, sometimes 40 meters, and is within 300 meters of volume. Acceleration training must be done at 95 to 100% intensity to stimulate change. Rest is usually 1 to 2 minutes per 10 meters ran. More advanced sprinters usually require longer recovery times since they run faster and it is more taxing on the body. When it comes to acceleration technique, you often hear cues about pushing or stepping out, but all of these cues can sometimes be confusing. Sprinting is a very delicate balance of stride length and stride frequency. If you over-focus on one more than the other, it can be detrimental. Getting a powerful start should be seen more as getting your body in the correct biomechanical positions to accelerate. During acceleration, you want most of the energy you're using to go horizontally. A good way to see this is if your hips are projecting horizontally from the blocks. You want to have a big extension causing the most force possible and get the foot down as fast as you can at the same time. You want to push down and under your hips or center of mass. Make sure you're pushing off both feet from the blocks. You don't want to force a bend on your back, which most people commonly do because of the cue stay low. You don't want to have too short of a first step or too long of a first step. The moment you have fully extended from the blocks, you need to attack back. Make sure your shoulders don't come up too quick. The moment they do is a sign that horizontal power is diminishing. Make sure that pushing is a result of proper technique. Don't deliberately spend too much time on the ground to produce this effect. Here's a good beginner acceleration workout: 3 times 10 meters, 3 times 15 meters, and 3 times 20 meters with 1 minute of recovery per 10 meters ran. Arguably the most important determinant of who's going to win the 100-meter dash is who has the highest top speed. Top speed will always be the determinant factor of your progression. In order to improve your top speed, you must run a distance at intent that allows you to reach top speed. An exercise that allows you to improve this is called flying sprints. Flying sprints are a drill where you allow the athlete a 20 to 30 meter acceleration zone followed by a fly 10 to 30 meter zone. The purpose of this form of training is to achieve the highest possible speed in between those zones. Now, the part that people most commonly mess up is how to ensure that top speed is isolated during this exercise. To ensure that top speed is isolated, athletes should incorporate roll-in starts. A roll-in start or jogging start is where the athlete starts while they are already in motion. Here's an example of what that looks like. Roll-in starts allow for the body to focus its energy on upright maximal sprinting. When you do a stationary start, your body is challenged to overcome inertia, and that process takes a lot of energy. Rolling starts are a great way to isolate top speed without taxing the body from acceleration. Intensities have to be 95 to 100% to obtain the best result. So for example, if your best flying 10 is 1 second, you should divide 1 by 0.95, and that would tell you the minimum time you would have to run to stimulate change, which is 1.05 seconds. It's also important to put it all together. Doing your top speed sprints can be done from blocks to practice putting it all together and working on the transition from acceleration to top speed. If the total volume of the speed workout exceeds 300 meters of volume, it would be considered a speed endurance session. When training top speed, quality always comes before quantity. It's better to have 2 to 3 top speed sprints at greater than 95% intensity than 8 sprints at 90% intensity. In order to ensure that you hit these intensities between sessions, you have to allow your body enough rest in between sessions. To make sure that you don't overtrain, make sure you rest 48 hours in between each top speed session. So if you train top speed at 12 p.m. on a Monday, you would train it again at 12 p.m. on a Wednesday. Ensuring you have good form while performing your sprints is crucial to prevent injury and to improve performance. Good form should be striking under your center of mass with a neutral set pelvis, sometimes with a very minimal slight forward lean. Knees together at touchdown, knee, hips, and ankle joints don't collapse at touchdown. Relax upper body, arms aren't fixed at a 90-degree angle, but actually open up to almost 180 degrees before ricocheting back to 90 degrees at the back, side, and front side of the body, and a dorsiflex foot. While drills might help to improve coordination and technique, in certain aspects, the best way to truly improve your form is to ensure good mechanics while performing maximal effort sprints between 95 and 100%. An example beginner workout can be 3 times flying 10-meter sprints with a 30 to 40 meter roll and start. When it comes to speed endurance, there are many different forms of training it. These are the different types of speed endurance training: extensive tempo, intensive tempo, short speed endurance, long speed endurance, special endurance 1, and special endurance 2. If you're solely looking to improve endurance for the 100-meter dash, most of your time will be training between the 80 to 200 meter range. Short speed endurance are sprints ran between 60 and 120 meters. The rest times are full and are typically 1 minute per 10 meters ran. The purpose of this form of training is to reach top speed or close to it and challenge the body to maintain that speed for as long as possible. An example workout would be 2 times 80 meters and 2 times 120 meters ran at 95 to 100% of personal best with full recovery 8 to 12 minutes. Once you have progressed your short speed endurance throughout the training season, you want to progress to long speed endurance, which are runs between 120 meters and 150 meters. The purpose of this form of training is similar to short speed endurance, as it challenges the body to maintain top speed for longer, but at a distance beyond that of 100 meters, sprinter's race distance. For someone that might be looking to double in the 100 and 200, Special Endurance 1 will be very beneficial. Special Endurance 1 are distances ran between 150 and 300 meters. These are ran at 95 to 100% of your personal best and require 0.5 to 1.5 minutes per second of activity. This further overloads the sprinter beyond their conventional racing distance to further decrease the rate of deceleration of the 100 and 200 meter race distances. For a more specific look into how speed endurance should be trained, look at my How to Improve Your Speed Endurance video. Another thing that helped me peak for competitions while also increasing my performance was periodization. In periodization, there are macrocycles, mesocycles, and microcycles. A macrocycle refers to a season of training in its entirety. It is an annual plan that works towards peaking for the major competitions of the year. A mesocycle is an intermediate training block or phase within the larger macrocycle. Mesocycles in sprint training usually range between 3-to-1 and 2-to-1 training approaches. What does this mean exactly? A 3-to-1 mesocycle is basically 3 weeks of intense training load followed by a week of a deload period. A deload involves a temporary decrease in training volume, intensity, or both to allow for recovery and adaptation before ramping up again. While deloading in a sprint training program, it is important to keep the intensities high during sprint repetitions but keep the volume low. A good rule of thumb that I use during my deloads is a 50% decrease in volume while maintaining sprint intensity at greater than or equal to 95%. In the gym, I also decrease the volume by 50%, but I decrease the intensity by 10%. When it comes to microcycles, a lot of times people get stuck up on the traditional 7-day week model. It is important to note that sprint training requires a significant amount of recovery in between high-intensity sessions. So most of the time, you won't be able to fit everything you want in a 7-day cycle. Sometimes using a 9 or 10-day cycle might be better for you as it allows for more recovery. Finding the right mesocycle depends on how much volume you can handle given a specific time period. This differs athlete to athlete, but most elite coaches like the 2-to-1 approach. Throughout the yearly plan, you want to progress from more general forms of training to more specific forms of training as the competitions get closer. This allows you to work on different aspects of athleticism throughout the year. For example, if you're someone that struggles with your start, you can dedicate the early part of the season to developing your early acceleration and max strength. You would still work on other qualities, of course, just not as prominent when compared to the other phases of the year. This concept is called vertical integration. This is when you work on all aspects of sprint training year-round, but with a higher emphasis on a specific quality, while not training the other aspects as prominently. This is crucial for maintaining athletic properties throughout the year, which allows you to keep progressing. Modern day coaches and myself use a short to long approach, which is when you progress from shorter distances to longer distances as the competitions get closer. Another thing to keep in mind is that as the years go by, you can't always do the same yearly plan. As you develop as an athlete, the stimulus that you used to improve your time before won't work as effectively. That's why progressive overload is so important. A classic periodization would include a long 2 to 4 month general preparation period where athletes spend the majority of their time doing extensive tempo runs, which are sprints at 65 to 75% intensity with small recovery times. In the gym, athletes would do low weight for high reps and also do body weight circuits with the idea of creating a base upon which they can later develop their speed. This would be beneficial for a beginner athlete looking to develop general qualities, as developing specific qualities early in training development can lead to many problems down the line with injuries and stagnation. But for a sprinter that has been training for a while, it would be redundant to follow the same progression year after year. The main thing that finally helped me break 11 seconds was to steer away from this model. Picture this: imagine your goal is to gain muscle in the gym. Initially, you start by doing body weight calisthenics, and it's very challenging. After a couple months, you get more proficient at it, doing over 10 pull-ups, 20 dips, and 30 push-ups. Naturally, you progress to different variations and start doing weighted calisthenics throughout your progression. Now imagine if year after year of training, you return to your original training plan of high reps of body weight exercises. You will struggle to gain muscle and at best maintain your physique. It was a similar situation for me in sprinting. What made me drop under 11 was viewing my speed progression linearly from the perspective of my individual needs. Periodization is a lot more complicated and requires a whole video in itself to explain. In summary, periodization is crucial for sprinters, but can also be negative if done incorrectly. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to always keep striving to be better and stay planetary.